My name is Claire Bennett. I was 33 years old the night my parents locked my 8-year-old daughter outside during a storm. 3 hours. That's how long my little girl stayed hidden inside a flooded storm drain while freezing rain hammered the streets above her. 3 hours of thunder shaking the concrete around her tiny body. 3 hours of icy wind soaking through her pajamas while she curled herself into the corner of a drainage tunnel, trying not to cry too loudly. She was 8 years old. She weighed barely 50 pounds. And my father shoved her out the front door like she was something unwanted. The worst part? He did it because of a lie. A lie told by her 10-year-old cousin. A lie my parents accepted immediately because admitting the truth would have forced them to confront the kind of people they had become. But what my family didn't understand that night was this. I had survived war zones. I had survived mortar attacks overseas. I had learned how to stay calm while everything around me collapsed. And before any of them realized how serious the situation truly was, I had already started building the case that would destroy the life they thought they controlled. Welcome back to Quiet Truth Stories, where we share emotional stories about family betrayal, survival, and the strength it takes to protect the people you love most. I joined the Army when I was 18 years old because it was the only escape my father couldn't take away from me. Richard Bennett believed daughters were supposed to stay close to home, get married young, and never question family authority. My younger sister Melissa fit that image perfectly. She married at 22, had her son Evan a year later, and settled down less than 10 minutes from my parents' house. My father adored her life because it reflected everything he believed a good daughter should be. I chose something different. I chose military school, officer training, and deployments far away from Tennessee. Every mile I put between myself and home made my father colder toward me. By 25, I was serving as a logistics officer at Fort Campbell. By 26, I was pregnant and completely alone. The baby's father disappeared halfway through the pregnancy. One morning, he packed his things, left a short note saying he wasn't ready to be a father, and vanished from our lives. So I raised my daughter alone. Military apartments, cheap groceries, long shifts, sleepless nights. But no matter how difficult life became, Sophie always knew one thing for certain. Her mother loved her. Then the deployment orders came. 9 months overseas. Every military parent fears that moment because the Army doesn't stop for family emergencies. If you have children, you must legally arrange care for them before deployment. I had less than 72 hours to complete my family care plan. Before I could even ask, my mother volunteered. She belongs with family, she told me softly over the phone. We'll take care of everything. I wanted to believe her. My parents had a safe home, a quiet neighborhood, and years of parenting experience. Compared to every other emergency option I had, leaving Sophie with them felt like the safest choice. So I signed the paperwork naming Richard and Diane Bennett temporary guardians while I deployed overseas. Every month I transferred money for groceries, clothes, school supplies, and childcare expenses. And for a while, I honestly believed my daughter was safe. At first, our weekly video calls seemed normal enough. But slowly, things started changing. Before the deployment, Sophie used to talk nonstop. She told me stories about cartoons, bugs she found outside, classmates at school, and every drawing she made during art class. Now her answers became shorter every single week. How was school? Fine. What did you do today? Nothing really. Did you and Evan play together? Long pause. A little. My mother was always nearby during those calls, sometimes standing behind the camera, sometimes pretending to clean the kitchen while listening to every word. Whenever I asked Sophie if something was wrong, she looked nervous before answering. My instincts told me something wasn't right, but I kept convincing myself it was just adjustment stress. Military kids struggle sometimes. Everyone says that. Then one afternoon, a package arrived from home. Inside were snacks, school photos, and one folded drawing Sophie had made. I opened it sitting alone in my barracks room overseas. The picture showed my parents, Melissa, and Evan standing together smiling brightly. Sophie had drawn herself far away from them, near the edge of the page. Alone. No smile. No one holding her hand. At the bottom, she had written carefully in pencil, "My family." I stared at that drawing for a very long time. Because children tell the truth in pictures long before they know how to explain it with words. I called home immediately. My father answered. When I asked my father about the drawing, he sounded irritated instead of concerned. "You're reading too much into a child's doodles," he snapped. "Maybe if you were home acting like a mother instead of playing soldier overseas, your daughter wouldn't be so emotional." Then he hung up on me. That night, I started documenting everything. Every strange conversation. Every uncomfortable silence. Every small sign that my daughter was slowly becoming invisible inside that house. I didn't know it then, but those notes would eventually become evidence. A few weeks later, I noticed something else. Sophie stopped mentioning Evan completely. She used to talk about him constantly. Now, every time I asked about him, she changed the subject. One afternoon, I called during her lunch break and asked if she was excited about her upcoming birthday. There was silence on the other end. Finally, she whispered, "Grandma says we probably won't do much this year." "Why not?" I asked. "I don't know." Then my mother quickly stepped into frame and changed the subject. That same week, I saw photos on Melissa's social media page from Evan's birthday party. Bounce houses, decorations, a giant cake, dozens of smiling children. My parents looked happier than I'd seen them in years. When Sophie's birthday came 2 months later, my mother texted me one single picture. My daughter sitting alone at the kitchen table beside a small grocery store cake. No decorations. No balloons. No friends. Just Sophie trying to smile for the camera. And that was the moment I realized something was terribly wrong.